everyone, this is Maria, and today I'm going to show you how to make a hair scrunchie. So this is sort of a continuation of my apron video that I just posted. And so anyways, I was running out of time. I thought that video was going on too long, so I just thought I'd do a separate video for the hair scrunchies. I'm just going to go ahead and make the two scrunchies to match my dog groomer's aprons that I'm making her. I should tell you how the dimensions. And so mine are 18 inches in length. That's what I cut out by 3.5 inches. And so you can see I have this pattern that I've used over and over again. I think I made, oh gosh, at least 100 scrunchies last year or more. And so anyways, yeah, I was in a scrunchy mood last year. So okay, so let's go ahead and iron them really quickly. They're so simple to make. The thing that takes a while sometimes is turning them inside out. But you can, if you make a whole bunch, you can do that while you're watching TV or listening to the radio or to music or whatever. So okay, so I went ahead and pressed them. And so I always have my spray bottle of water nearby. And I'm going to dampen them just a little bit more because I'm going to iron this little right here. It's like 1/4 inch. I think it's about 1/4 inch. And so yeah, you don't have to make them as wide. I just find them a little bit easier to turn when I'm turning them inside out. And so because my fingers get sore, my fingertips, when I make a whole bunch of them. And then, you know, my OCD kicks in. And like when I'm making crafts, and I just can't stop. You know, it's hard to stop, and that's why my fingers get sore, my fingertips. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. I know that may sound a little strange, a little funny, and so yeah, it's just once I start doing something, it's so hard to stop. In fact, my dogs are just staring at me right now because they want my attention, and because I've been sewing and busy, and I try to pay a lot of attention to them too. And so, but they would like me to pay attention to them 101% of the time. Okay, so we did the ends, right? And so you don't have to sew the ends, but I like to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and just put some quick stitches in there. Since I have the black thread already set up in my sewing machine, I'll just go ahead and do that one first. And so I'm just going to just do a little bit of a back stitch there to lock it in, but you don't even have to do that. Some people don't. I just do that because out of habit. And I always like secure stitches. Okay, so I just snipped off the threads, and I'm going to do the opposite. I was going to rethread my machine, but I'll wait to do that one afterwards. Let me just show you how to do this one. Okay, so now that the ends are sewn, just like that, and like that, I'm going to go ahead and fold this in half. And then I'm going to press it. So I'll be right back. So I went ahead and pressed this one more time to give it that nice little crease. It just makes it easier to work with. And so I'm going to go ahead. See, there's an opening on each end. And we're going to leave the opening on each end. And then you're going to sew this about 1/4 inch. Just the fabric goes right to the edge of this little foot on the sewing machine. And make sure you lock that stitch. Okay, and you want to make sure the fabric lines up on this edge also, the edge that you're sewing. Now you can double stitch these, you know, like an extra secure stitch, but you don't have to. I like to do that. Okay, we're getting close to the edge here. So I want to make sure, like this little part right here that we sewed stays, so it doesn't flip up. There we go. And I'm just going to sew it one more time. I'm going to clip these threads and sew it one more time because I just want to make sure, like I said, that it does not fall apart, because I like the things that I make to last a long time. And scrunchies, you will be using them over and over again. There we go, I did a little back stitch to lock that. And just trying to follow that stitch, this line. If it's a little bit off, it's okay. try to get as close as you can. And I'm going to back stitch to lock the stitches. And then I'm going to snip. Okay, so this is where you're going to turn this tube inside out. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to put my thumb right in here. Some people like to use like, you know, like a pencil or something to help push the fabric through. But I find that if I do the like 3.5 inches wide, I really don't have to do that. And so once in a while, I'll put the my scissors and sort of help it through, but usually I don't. And so you just pull it all the way through, turn it inside out. I've seen some people do like a little trick, and I forget exactly how to explain it, but where they put like, I think elastic on this end and they pull it out, but I tried that and I couldn't get it to work. So this works fine for me. And since I'm only making a couple right now, this will go by really quickly. And so this is why I mean, you know, this could take a while, especially if you're making several as gifts. They make great gifts, you guys. Everybody loves these, especially if you have long hair. You want to just throw your hair in a ponytail. I know I like to wear them while I'm driving or even while I'm working around the house so my hair is out of my face. And especially in the summertime. And it's just fun. You can get like just like 1/4 yard of fabric and get several out of that. Whoops. Let me go ahead and pull that again. Oh. You see, it can take a little bit. It's because I'm not looking at it actually. I'm looking through the camera. That's so funny. And so anyways, yeah, the weather is warming up here in Southern California, but you know what? It is so cold in the morning still. I have not drank this much hot chocolate since I can't even remember when, you know? And so I'm on my last box of peppermint hot chocolate Swiss Miss that I bought over the holidays. And this morning I'm like, oh no, I'm going to run out. I opened up my last box. There, we're almost there, you guys. And then I'm going to insert the elastic. Once we have the tube, it's so simple to sew them up, you guys. So like if you make several, and you could even have someone help you, you know, and then once you have them all done, the tubes all pulled out like this, then you just press them, a quick press with your iron, and then you insert the elastic. And I'll show you that in just a second. My dogs are sleeping now. And so my little Sally is right over there. She's sound asleep. But it'll be dinner time soon, and they'll be wide awake. Okay, you can see the frog there. And you want to make sure, like, the frogs, you know, I wanted to make sure that my pattern went this way, so you could see the frogs, and not, you know, the other way. Lengthwise is what I'm trying to say. Okie dokie. There we go. Yay! Okay. So you see we have this tube, and there's the seam right there. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to, see the seam there? I'm going to put the seam off to the side here. I'm going to take the iron and I'm going to press this really quick. Okay, so I'm back. That just took a couple of seconds to do that. And so it's nice and pressed and easy to work with. And then I grabbed a piece of elastic. This is, I believe it's about 1/4 inch elastic. It's soft elastic that I get at Joann's in a package. And so anyways, yeah, so I cut it to about 8 inches, and I have a safety pin connected to the elastic. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert this elastic into the tube, and I'm going to start pulling it through. Now you want to hold on to the elastic, and you want the safety pin, you can see it's bunching up, to go through, but you don't want all of the elastic to go through, okay? So you want to hold on to that, and because we're going to pull that, and that's what makes the scrunchie. Okay, and the great thing about this, you could even use like old shirts and things like that that you have for fabric. Okay, so there we are. There's our scrunchie, and I'm still holding on to this end here. And once in a while it will slip, and you just got to start over. And I'm going to take this safety pin out, and what I'm going to do next is I'm going to put these ends of elastic together and try to hold them as close as possible. And then I'm going to sew some stitches in here. Now I go a little crazy with my stitching, again, because I want them to last and I don't want the elastic to break. And so let's go ahead and do that. And I'm going to sew probably about right there. Okay, so there's our scrunchie. So I'm pulling my threads back, and so I don't want those in the way. And then I'm holding on to the elastic still. It's pretty easy to hold on to. Now I just put my finger down on this end because I'm going to release it on this side here. And you can go, you know, as far down as you want. You know, it just depends how much give you want your scrunchie to have. And so I'm going to go down, oh, maybe about half an inch, something like that. And so, okay, so I just put the foot down of my sewing machine, and I'm going to hold this very carefully. Be careful because this part can hit your finger. So I just want to secure it just a little bit. So see, now I have my stitches there. I'm going to go back and forward until I go so crazy with my machine. Basically, I'm locking a stitch going back and forward, and this is so small. Okay, I think that's good enough. This is what it's going to look like now that it's sewn together. And so I'm just going to trim it just a little bit, not too much, just like that, okay? And then I'm going to pull this, and I'm going to tuck this in. Let's see. I'm going to tuck that in. You can try to pull it around if you don't want that sitting right there. Sometimes I can get it just right, and other times I can't. So I don't really worry about that. And so let me find the opening. There it is. And so you can see the one end starts to go into the tube. And so just tuck the other end in like this. And you could sort of feel around in there, make sure it's kind of flat, lays flat, because we're going to sew this end closed, okay? And don't worry if the stitching is not perfectly straight, because nobody is going to see this, because it's going to be in your hair and nobody is going to see it, you guys. And I like to try to use coordinating thread. Like this, I'll have black thread, and so there we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and sew that up. So the one end of the tube is inside, and I'm just going to line this up, and I'm just going to sew it closed. I want to make sure it's all the way in there. Let me just double check. Okay, that looks good. And I'm going to hold it down with all my fingers here, and I'm going to lock that stitch, go back and forth a couple of times. And in the center, I like to go back and forth, and then towards the end, I like to go back and forth to lock my stitch, because again, I want it to last and I don't want it to fall apart. Okay, and then I'm just going to snip my threads, and there's your scrunchie. Okay, I wanted to show it to you a little closer. Here's the scrunchie. It's so cute, and you can see the little frogs in here, and sometimes the pattern sort of gets buried in there, but you know it's there. I love the ones with the Day of the Dead skulls. Those are really a lot of fun. But yeah, so you could just put that on and tie it around your ponytail, and it's just so great. So here's the second one, and I think it turned out super cute. I just love this fabric. And the thing is with this one, I ran out of this size of elastic. This piece wasn't quite 8 inches. And so I did have the thinner elastic, and it's nice and soft. And so all I did was I used 2 of these, and I just held them together as though it was one piece of elastic. I put the safety pin through here, and I just stretched it as I went through, and that worked perfectly fine. It took me a little bit longer to get all of these sewn together, and so I stitched them over and over again. And so yeah, so I was really happy with the way it turned out. This has a really nice pull to it. Okay, so scrunchies are that simple to make, you guys, and you can make them too. Thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great day.